What's up? Welcome to today's stream, September the 2nd, and I'm mostly going to do a continuation of what I was working on yesterday. I was able to get a video, or part of my video audio transcribed using Whisper CPP, which is a port of the model behind Whisper. And all this ran locally in pretty good time. Unfortunately, I don't have the output here, but I do have this here, the actual output. Oh no, I do have the output. Here we are, right here. Let me switch over to my screen just so that I can show it. So here's what I was working on yesterday. I was able to get my video transcribed, and I get timestamps. So from 0 seconds to 1 second, from about 1 second to 3 seconds. So you see here that there are 2-second chunks essentially. And this is more or less what I said, a pretty high degree of accuracy actually. So one of the things that I need to figure out is a more repeatable way of getting these transcribed. I did a lot of manual work in order to do this, and I need to be able to not do this manually. So I have to figure out some type of way to programmatically convert a MP3 or M4A rather file into a rather small WAV file, or I need to figure out a way to work with MP3 or AAC, some other type of compressed file format, using this tool. So yeah, that's what we're doing today, figuring out stuff. I will show the transcription that was generated. No, I'm sorry, not the transcription, the video description that was generated based off of my transcription, which is almost what I'm trying to do actually. I'm trying to just get all this together and automate it so I don't have to do all of this effort. So let's go over that right quick. Let's go to, where would that be? Oh wait, I probably should have did a little bit of organization before I started this stream. Alright, I'm a little confused why I have two of the same project going on here. At least it seems that way. Oh no, we're good. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Gonna move this all to my development window or desktop. Yo, how are you? Casual Economist. I feel like I've heard that name before. How long have I been working on this? I'm new to the channel. So this particular tool I've been working on for maybe 5 or 6 days. Not really that long. However many streams. So whenever I stream, that's when I work on it. I try my best to not like think about it or even like look at it when I'm not streaming. And I want to say that the past 5 streams have been about this maybe. Let's see. I actually don't know. So we're gonna look. I have notes. I keep notes of what I've done. So let's see. Virtual co-working. Nope. Maybe it would be here where I started it. Content ops. Yeah. Okay. So I started working on this, whatever date this is, 8/20, August 20th. And oh, you're from TLA. Oh, dude, what's up? Happy to have you. Yeah, he gave me some good advice. Now, I don't know, I struggle with it though, because, I actually do want to teach people how to do this. By the way, this is using AI and things. So I guess you'll get a little bit of insight into how all of this stuff is working. which I think is incredibly important considering, you know, AI is already starting to enter into the enterprise. In fact, one of the things that I did contemplate today, and I may do it if this is more entertaining, is talk about the fact that OpenAI has just hired they haven't just hired, but they are starting to hire a ton of enterprise salespeople, and they are selling businesses and organizations on the fact that you will not need as large of a workforce, so you can save money by firing your workforce, right? I imagine that affects most people because a lot of people need a job. And, you know, when you have these tools that are able to, you know, do someone's job without as many mistakes and with, you know, with less costs, let's be honest, it puts us at risk. So I think that it's kind of useful to kind of understand all of this stuff, to be able to work with it, not only to like use the services, that's one thing, but to actually be able to build it yourself. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'll show you this project right quick. Let's see, we'll open this in code, just so that you get an idea of some of the things that goes into this. So we'll look at the implementation. This is the main program that gets called. There's also a header file and all that other kind of stuff. And this is what he was saying was boring, which, you know, like, you know, touche. To each their own. I find this so fascinating, and I imagine that there are other people who are, you know, like me, who enjoy this type of stuff. But he is very much right. It is a niche, and it's not for everybody. Although with that said, I would like to make it as approachable as possible and get more and more people interested in it, especially folks who look like me. Because let's be real, like if these are going to be the things, the agents that are controlling, you know, our world in the future, doesn't it make a lot of sense to be one of the folks, you know, who built it, right? Like to take some of your culture, some of the things that you value and bake that into the system versus it being everyone else but you. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to control your life regardless, right? You said keep it boring for a while in chat. Oh, you did? My bad. His chat is really active. As you can see, there's not many people in my chat. So I did not see that. So apologies for missing it. But yeah, like, I don't know. I don't find it boring, to be honest. But I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. And that's what I was asking really was, you know, how do you find the balance between, you know, doing something that you A, want to do, and B, something that is, I guess, meaningful to society, versus, you know, caving in and just saying, you know what, I'll just entertain people and just talk about stuff that, I don't know, really doesn't matter. So like there are news things that I want to talk about here. I'll bring one up. So I actually have show notes that I was, well, they're not really show notes, just some that I was doing because I'm thinking about starting a new series separate from my devlog series where I get to talk about some things that are happening, right? So for instance, you know, the FBI is compiling a list of DNA. What are they doing with that DNA? The CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, they've done the same thing. What are they doing with that DNA, right? You know, NSA right now, they're talking about if you're spying with folks, make sure that you treat them with respect and all that other kind of stuff. You're not a coder. You're trying to switch careers. Let me add that to the broadcast right quick so I can read it easier. Not a coder, trying to switch careers later in life, just graduated Econ, but needs your PhD to make money in economics. So going to tech more. Tech is, I think, absolutely a great direction to go. Technology enables most of the industries that you want to go in the first place, including economics, right? I imagine, I'm not an economist, so I'm just imagining here, that you all are working with data sets because, you know, that is your science, right? Decisions, the decisions that humans have made. And what better way to determine the decisions that people have made than by looking at the data of the things that, you know, decisions that they've made. To analyze that, you're going to be using computer systems. And to analyze that effectively, you're going to need to know a little bit about how computing works and some of the limitations, as well as, you know, some of the strengths that a computer has that a human won't, and vice versa. But yeah, I was maybe going to go over stuff like this. We'll see. It's a little tangential to to devlog stuff that I've been doing, but I can change that. I'm gonna change this music because it has words. Try to avoid words in my music. But yeah, so what I'm gonna be trying to do is figure out some way to either change the code here so that I can work with much larger files, like to the tune of gigabytes, or figure out a way to automate my script that I wrote last night that splits a file, but it splits it with an issue. The last file is jank. So let me show what I mean by that. Oops. Put that back there. All right, so we'll go into my sample directory. Oh, and I think it's also worth it to have my an audio editor up as well, so that I can inspect some of these waveforms. So we'll have that open. Did you get your master's degree, casual economist? Is that where you are right now, getting your master's? I have some graduate study actually. I haven't officially dropped out, but I haven't enrolled in 2 years. So I don't know if I'm going to finish it. To one of those fancy schools on the East Coast. I won't name it, but yeah. I decided that I didn't really need school. All right, so here is a large file. This 461, it's much smaller than the original file that I had, which was 2 gigabytes. But you see here that it is almost double the original M4A file, which is compressed. Oh no, you're going back to your master's soon. Okay. Yeah, I was doing my master's as well. Or it was an MS in software engineering. And then I decided that I didn't need it because first of all, I have a computer science degree. And B, I've had a lot of graduate school from 3 different institutions throughout my career. And I feel like I've learned all the things that I need to learn in order to do the things that I would like to do in life. The last school, the fancy one that's off on the East Coast, I ended up getting more into finance. So while I was doing an engineering degree, I decided to do all of my electives in things like finance and leadership and negotiation, that type, more on the business side. And I only did a couple classes in pursuit of the actual, master's, like the degree itself, the technical classes. And honestly, I got more value from the things that weren't technical. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that, I've been an engineer for most of my career before I went to school. And before that, I had been programming for a very long time. I think I started at 12. Yeah, I think I started at 12. I'm now 34. So I've been programming for more than most of my life. We'll just say that. And there are some really cool insights that you learn by going to school, but there are also some things that are just this doesn't really help me. All right, so I do see that Ableton has created these ASD files. I don't want any of those, so we're just gonna delete anything that ends in SD, ASD, or whatever that is. Make sure that's gone. Yeah, all right, cool. And then we have these 7 parts. Now, here's the question that I have. Is the 7th part, is that corrupted? So that's what we're gonna check right quick. So we'll just open up Finder here. And let's move this to here for now. And we only need 1 audio track. All right, let's see if this is going to be happy. It is taking a while to load, which is interesting. So I'm wondering, is this file corrupt? It could be, actually. Okay, so it doesn't seem to be loading. So that tells me that the file could be corrupt. So I'm gonna open up a hex editor and inspect this file there just to see what it looks like. I'm curious, you said you're going back to get your master's soon. So what have you been up to in the meantime? Did you just finish your undergraduate degree and now you're deciding to get your master's, or did you do your undergraduate degree and then you joined the workforce for a little bit, got some experience under your belt, and then you're going, or is it you just finished undergrad and you're going straight into your graduate studies? And I'm asking because like that's, well, yeah, I'll let you answer first and then we can go into it. All right, where did my file go? Like I had the thing open and now it's not here anymore. Let's go ahead and go to where it is. So that's going to be code devlog, not devlog. This is OpenAI, Whisper CP samples. All right, and we have that. Oh, what is this? Okay, so this looks like it's, no, it's not corrupt. There's data here. It's just, I wonder how this file ends. Maybe that could have something to do with it. A bunch of zeros, so it ends in silence, which is okay. Yeah, there should be something here. So just finished, did a Google search and data analysis and picked up a job. Well, I would love to say grass is greener, but like, it's a job is a job. What I'll tell people is if you don't like working, you do your own thing. You start your own thing. I'm not saying that you're gonna like it more, but you're in control of it. So if you do hate it, well, you can only point at one thing, and that's yourself. However, getting a job that you hate, I understand it. I've had a job that I disliked, and fortunately, I was able to get this job earlier in my career. So let's just say that I learned that money isn't everything, right? So I think when I was 23 or 22, I don't know how old I was making like $140,000 a year. And, I remember, when I was younger saying, oh, like if someone's paying me, I want to just make 80, really 60, 80. I was like, if somebody paid me 100, I'll do whatever. Oh. Well, I learned, no, I won't. And nowadays I'm like, if somebody will offer 140, it'll be like, haha, you're funny. Like, no way. But yeah, like, I understand the sentiment, bro. Like, having a job that you dislike can be very, very challenging, especially when you don't really have an option to do it. I think having an option makes it a lot easier to bear. Man, what? Okay, okay. I keep closing this window. All right, let's see if this can be played. Wait, no, there is audio here. What the hell? Like, what? There's definitely audio here. Okay, now it shows up. Okay, maybe. Okay, all right, fine. I'm like, this is weird because like my hex tool is telling me, hey, there's actual samples here. Like each one of these values, even though it's in hex, it's more or less a sample. And I'm saying more or less a sample. And I did see here that we had the correct header for a WAV format file, which are these codes right here. Let me see if I can get them all. So these codes right here are all the header for a WAV file. So we do have WAV audio here, which is good. So part of what I have to do, and I'm not sure if I've already done this, is I have to convert the audio to a lower bit rate. Now the question is, should I split it first and then convert it, or should I convert the whole thing and then split it? Or does it not matter? I really don't know, to be honest. So what I'm gonna see is if there is a way I can use ffmpeg to do this, which I had a browser here. Yeah, here we are. So we'll go to ffmpeg. I know that you can convert audio to different types of formats using ffmpeg, and there is another library that you can link that allows you to work with MP3s and all that other kind of crap. I don't remember what it's called though, so that's also what we're gonna have to figure out. What is that called? Remove MP3. Okay, MP3. All right, use metadata header pattern to control pattern and 93 tags using. Okay, no, that's not what I want. Okay, let's just go to documentation. Man line libraries. Is it libav codec? Is this one it? I've never done any Google certificates or whatever, but I have worked as a data analyst as well as like a data engineer as well as machine learning. So, and also I did business intelligence for a little bit as well. So like I may be able to help with if you have specific questions, maybe. I'm not saying I can, but maybe I can. For full disclosure, I no longer work as an engineer. So I'm not in title, I'm not a software engineer anymore. I am what's called a developer advocate now, which means that I just talk about this. I don't actually do it anymore. In quotes. Alright, lib provides a generic encoding decoding framework for audio, video, okay. All right. And I kind of wish that this would have given me a little bit more information. Is this just a library or is this something I can call? Some I'm not sure. It's not a library for code needed for both, okay. Modular, small. Video, audio, resampler. Audio resampler supports the following options. Set input channel layout. Set input sample rate. Ah, okay. So maybe I can use this. Right, so it does give me a sample rate that I can give, in sample rate. Set the input. Okay, so if the input, I wonder if I can figure that out. I downloaded a tool called Socks or something like that. I don't really, let's just do this. And I didn't look at the documentation for the tool, so I really don't know what all it can do. But there were two programs that it shipped with, Sock and then Socks EI or whatever you want to call this. And I think this will show the number of samples, but I want to see if this will show me the sample rate. Show number of bits per sample, show bit rate. Ah, wait. Oh no, this is the bit rate. Show estimated sample precision, show the name of audio encoding. Let's see if this sample precision is gonna give me something that I think that I want. So we'll run this on my sample that I have. So we'll do I forgot what it's called. P. Yeah, we're gonna do P, and then we'll go into my code directory inside of OpenAI. Whisper dot then samples, and we're gonna use Devlog part 7, the one that we were just looking at. 16. Okay. Now here's what's interesting. Is this 16 the number of bits? Is this just 16 bit, or is it the fact that I have a 16 kilohertz sample rate? Let me put this on. I gotta get past these algorithms on jobs. It's tough to independently learn when your money ain't right. Yeah, it can be, maybe, I suppose. I did all of my learning when I had nothing, which in my opinion, I think it made it easier, because now that I have a lot of things, there's a lot of distraction, a lot more distraction than there used to be. And I found that I was able to focus a lot better back then, because I had not only the motivation of improving my life, but also it was I wanted to just make more money at that time. So when I was in my early 20s, I worked a lot. And I don't mean just at work. Like that to me, that's, some people, work to them is they go do their 9 to 5 or whatever, and then they're done. For me, it was, I had a 9 to 5, and then I did other work, right? Whether that go like, sure, I did gym and all that in basketball. That was to a release, I think. But the other work that I would do is studying, 4 to 6 hours a night, every night, 4 years. And looking back, I think it paid off, because not only did it, give me new skill sets, it improved my discipline, right? But part of that was also due to the fact that when I was in school, I also worked, and I was doing like 18 credit hours. So I got really good at managing my time. I also used to do YouTube a long time ago. That's the thing that like I didn't mention to the lead attorney last night, is that I'm not actually new to this. I'm just returning after a decade of not doing anything on this platform. I was actually monetized back in 2008, 9, 10, and 11. I think I lost my monetization in 2013. After 2 years of not doing anything. All right, so yeah, I'm kind of returning. I'm trying to rebuild my subscriber base back up. I actually had a lot of subscribers actually. Yeah, I had a lot of subscribers, and yeah, lost them. I think I was above 50K. But over the years, people either unsubscribed. There was also that one event that YouTube had where they unsubscribed people from a bunch of channels, and I got hit by that as well. Fortunately, I've been able to build back up some of it. Nowhere near like where it was, but I used to do videos. I wasn't doing live streams like I'm doing now. I used to do music, actually, of all things. Can you believe it? I guess, I mean, if you're looking at, if you saw my screen with Ableton Live, maybe that'll give you a hint. But I used to do Pro Tools, Logic Pro, Ableton Live. Used to own a studio back in the day. No more though. I'm out of that. All right, so I think that this precision right here is the bit depth. Yeah, it literally says it in bits. So this is 16-bit audio. What I want to know is how many samples. So maybe it's going to be this B, which is the bits per sample, which honestly, that doesn't make sense to me if it is that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, used to, a long time ago. Not anymore. Yeah, I'm not struggling with it. So yeah, that was why when I was asking him the questions, like I'm not really, I wonder if he thought that I was new to this, or like I didn't have the technical thing. So I also do photography, I also do videography. Like I know how to do all of the things. It's just a matter of like prioritization for me now. Like I have so many things on my plate. Not only do I do all of this, but I also, kind of build these other things on my own time, and I have other things outside of this that I do, along with I went back to work actually. So that's the other thing that I didn't really mention on his thing, is that I basically retired at 28, and oh, was it 27? I don't know. I don't remember how old I think it was 28. I think I was 28. It's been a while ago. But yeah, I learned, the hard way that, you got to do something. Like, you can't just sit around and do nothing. I was traveling the world at the time, actually. And I've been to over 50 countries now. And that shaped my perspective on things a lot. But I also, during my travels, I started to meet more people and talk to more people. And I started to realize what I walked away from when I decided to leave corporate, which is the people. So now that I understand, like, that's really what it's about. I'm happily, gainfully employed, if that makes sense. Where it's just like, yeah, I work with others now until I can get my own stuff off the ground. And I don't really mean earning money, because that part's already passed. I mean, like, having the team, the people around, and finding good people is hard. It's really hard, and keeping them is even harder. And I don't know if I have the kind of mindset for it right now, but there's more life to live. Over time, maybe I will develop that mindset a little bit more. Perfect. I have a way to do what I need to do. So I can actually create a shell script to do all this, to be honest. So in order to resample, I need to tell ffmpeg the sample rate, which I can get from this Soxy tool, whatever it's called. I need to Google this. I've never heard of this until last night, and I didn't go and look at like all of the capabilities it has. So I should go do that soon. But yeah, so I'm gonna put in the input sample rate and then the sample rate that I want. So in general, most of my sample rates are 48 kilohertz, I think. Let's see. So we'll go Soxy R, and then we'll do /volumes. I don't know what it's called, XS, this one. And we'll go to Econ recordings. Which one should we do? Ecam live. Yeah, we'll go into here. All right, we have this M4A. Let's see if I'm able to just work directly with M4A here. They're gonna bitch at me now. Okay, so I can't use M4A. God damn it. Okay, so that means that I'm gonna have to convert to wait first. Shit. Okay. Let me go ahead and put this in my notes for today, because this is useful. All right. Oh, I didn't create my, and this is part of why I need to finish my bot. So I'm gonna have to switch to Notion or GitHub or Git, or just raw markdown files, because I'm unable to have my bot automatically generate these whatever these are with the titles. And as you're about to see, well, you don't see me clicking right now, but I'm clicking on my recorder so that I can now click on this little icon, this little tiny icon, so I can copy a video URL, which I'm gonna do. So you don't see that part. I'm gonna come here and do this. All right, so I need to do this just so that I can get this title. And now obviously you could say, oh, you could just remember it, but hey, I don't have a good memory like that. That's why I write shit down. That's why I use notes. So I don't want to have to do what I've just done all the time, right? And that took 30 seconds of my life and effort that I don't ever want to expend again. And my bot can create these files for me, or in this case, this is a page. It can't create pages in Craft, but I can create pages in either Notion if I decide to switch to that, or in a repository, which I don't know, maybe I'll do that very soon, because this is starting to annoy me like no end, and it makes it hard to be consistent. So we'll go ahead and fill this out. We'll say our task, and then we'll do notes. All right, and then I'll just throw it. Okay, we'll throw that right here. So we'll say using ffmpeg to resample audio. Oh, appreciate the follow. Is it Schoolboy? Wait, Schooly B? Oh, Schooly B. Man, I don't know why I read that as Schoolboy. I wanted to be Schoolboy Q so bad. Like, so bad. That's why when I first saw it, I was like, oh wait. And then I'm like, oh no, that's Schooly Boy. Schooly B, my bad. Welcome to have you. Welcome to the stream, Schooly B, and glad to have you here. Let me give you I got sound effects too. I should be using them, but yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, yeah, everyone reads it as Schoolboy. It's so hard to not read it as Schoolboy, but Schooly B, I'm gonna try to remember it. How are you? I'm gonna give you some I don't know. I haven't used my sound effects. I have a lot of them, but I haven't used them enough to just know where they are. Oh dude, that's actually, it's more than a poster, bro. This is yeah, I didn't know who she was, to be honest, but here, I'll show it to you. So that's actually an original art piece. It's a little bit more than a poster. And I met the artist actually when I was in Carmel. Normally every year I go to Monterey Car Week. It's been 10 days there. And I think this was not this past one that just ended, but the one last year. What's this one last year? Yeah, I think I bought it last year. Or maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't remember. I'm sorry. But yeah, ended up going to a art gallery. They were doing an exhibition, and the the artist was there. I happened to just I was walking to leave actually when they had just finished doing a viewing to some other couple, and I guess they decided that they didn't want it at that time. And as they were walking and I was walking out, they happened to go across a light. Like, I don't know what kind of light, but it was just like, you know, it's a gallery, right? It happened to go by a light, and like it caught the eye right there, and I was just like struck. And yeah, I ended up talking to the folks a little bit. We did a viewing, and about 4 or 5 hours later, I had bought it. Let's just say it was a lot. It was a shit ton of money. But the points that I got, no, I'm like, honestly, I could take it. I took an international trip. I'll just say that. So like, sure, it cost me a grip, but I got an international trip out of it. And yeah. Now looking back, you know, that I was just like, man, like I could have never imagined I would ever drop that kind of money, because I had just bought my G-Wagon. Actually, I have a G6 or had a G63. I sold it recently. But yeah, I had just, you know, put, I don't know, like 60K down for that, because the G-Wagon's like 200K. And then, you know, at that, it's like, man, like I've spent like 100 grand in a goddamn month. And yeah. It's, so I haven't actually seen any of the movies. But yeah, I like it. Like I know who she is now, and everyone else knows who she is. And I'm always impressed because I didn't know who the hell that person was, and they were explaining who she was at the art gallery, and I was just like who? I'm like, I don't know who she is. I don't really care who she is. I'll just like it. But it's been an excellent piece. It's a great conversation starter. So when people see that, they're always like, oh my God, this is such a nice thing. I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's just it's my backdrop now. Yeah, down. Like, yeah, like, I don't believe in not putting money down on things. I try to put as much down as possible, right? So, I mean, if you're buying a $200,000 car, I mean, it makes sense that you would put at least 20-25% down, right? Like, pay the taxes. At least that's what I do. I don't finance taxes. When I bought my Porsche GT3, I think I put down, I don't know, like 45,000 or something like that. Yeah, and you know, it also helps with your interest rate, right? Like nowadays I can't buy anything because I'm looking at interest rates, and I'm just like, no, absolutely not. But I'm used to paying like 3%. So, you know, if you're paying 3% APR and you do the math, you know, for, you know, $100,000, that's $3,000 a year, a little bit. Yeah, that's about $3,000 a year on the principal. And like, you know, you're gonna pay down your principal, but the next year, whatever the principal is left, you're gonna pay that 3% again. So like, I'm very cognizant of how much money I'm just giving to someone else. So I put money down, all right? And you're supposed to, right? Like, I mean, you're not supposed to go and finance something and not put anything down, not have any equity in it. Just like with a house, right? You should put down 20%. Although I have seen that they're making it where you could just put down 1%, which I think is a mistake. That just guarantees that you're going to pay interest the rest of your life and never build a net worth. But I don't know. So this is using ffmpeg to resample audio, and then I also need a way to convert audio. So let's see Reddit, or yeah, we'll do Reddit and see if ffmpeg can convert M4A audio. First put all the 800 files in. Okay, make directory. So ffmpeg can do it. -i %AA output. Okay, they pause. Okay. Use my VA loan. I don't have to put anything now, man. Man, I'm not a veteran. Sure, you may not have to put anything down, but here's my question back to you. If you don't put anything down, are you still required to pay interest? Like, do veterans have to pay interest on their loans? Here, what I'll do right quick is, like I have, let me pull up Excel right quick. And I hate Excel on a Mac, but I don't feel like, maybe I should just open up, you know what, maybe I should just open up Windows right quick and do it there. Make my life a little bit easier. All right, let's go to one of these, cause wait, can't open. I moved them. Okay, give me a second. So I also do models. I build models, financial models. Yeah, I do a lot of different things, but normally I'm doing, you know, tech stuff on these. But we can switch up right quick since you're here. And let's go to, this is under business, law rate, scorecards, Houston, single fam, or multi, we'll do single fam. And we'll do this one. Okay, I gotta find my password for this because I don't remember anything, like I was saying earlier. All right, so we'll put this over here and we'll just put law rate. All right, wait, is this it? If this is it, I'm okay. Actually, no, I think it's called scorecard. Let me make sure I'm okay. All right, I'm not in both of my accounts. All right, so we'll do scorecard. Here we are. So we'll copy that, put it there. Would you like to make changes? Do you need to make open as read-only? No, make changes. All right, cool. So now we'll go into our debt thing. All right. So yeah, we'll do this. So let's say, for instance, I just put like 300K down. Actually, I'm not gonna save it. I'll just make sure I don't save it. All right. Oh, that's 3 million. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm used to know that. I'm sorry. All right, yeah, so we have 300K. And let's see here, interest rate 3 point. All right, so what we could do here is we could figure out, based on, I don't know, this right here, like what is your payment going to be? And then from that payment, we could figure out what part of that is your interest and then what part is not your interest. So we'll go into here and see if this one is, do I have interest payments here? Maybe I don't. I may have to go to one of my multifamilies where I go a little bit more into detail because it's multifamily. But here you can see I actually didn't, oh wait, no, that's with 300K. That's actually wrong. Gosh, where, oh, here's the interest. Okay. Okay, so like, let's say for instance, you know, in your first year, right? You pay down your principal a little bit, and this is what this loan analysis is. So you get back $240,000. This is assuming you're putting a 20% down payment, right? Hopefully. So you get your 240K, and then that first year, you're going to accrue $8,400 in interest, right? And you're gonna make payments of $13,000, right? So what does that really mean? Your principal is only going to go down by $5,000, which means that next year you're going to pay slightly less interest, right? So if the more money you put down, the less interest that you're going to pay in total, right? And I don't actually do this here, but let's sum this. So we'll sum this entire row here, just so that you can see how much interest you pay in just 5 years, right? So, you know, at this point, you pay 40K in interest, but here you still owe $220,000 on a $240,000 loan, right? So this is, if you've ever heard that saying that, you know, your first 7 to 10 years owning a home, you won't really pay down the principal. You're mostly paying interest. Well, that's why. So the way to get around that is to put more money down. So you're still going to pay interest, but you just pay less interest, which I think is important to pay as little interest as possible, especially if you're unable to write it off your income, which if you're living in the house, guess what? You cannot do that. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. Let me see, where do I put my down payment at? Or do I just bake that in? I think I normally just bake in down payment. Debt coverage. Yeah. So I automatically do 20 because it's like I already know that that's the down payment that I'm gonna do is 20%. But yeah, just give you a little bit of an idea. Let me change this back to what it was, 287. For what it's worth, I did not go in on this deal for this reason. The internal rate of return is negative and the net present value is also negative. So it wasn't a good deal. So I ended up just passing on this one. Oh man, I appreciate it. I bet you didn't think I knew a little bit about that, huh? I know you said you're doing Econ. Yeah, even though I'm a software engineer or a former software engineer, I've had multiple career paths. I'll just say that. I've done music. I do photography as a hobby. I also do videography as a hobby. But maybe with YouTube, you know, as I get, I don't know, as I get more motivation to do it more consistently, maybe I will start to do more videos, right? Like I travel a lot and I would like to, you know, show some of my travels and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like here's what I recommend if you're looking at buying a house now, especially now because interest rates are high. I don't think that you're going to get any favorable interest rates just because you're a veteran. But let's assume that you're paying 7%, right? That's a lot. That's a lot of money to pay on in interest. Here, let me bring that back up right quick. Let's here, we'll just do a new thing right quick because I can show you how to calculate this yourself. So there's a function in Excel called payment. Just bear with me. I am using the Mac version of Excel, which I hate. I detest it. There are a lot of things that don't work the way that I learned Excel when I was a kid. So the formulas work. So anyway, PMT, it's a function. So if you come here, you see here that it takes a rate, the number of periods. That's what n-par means. It's an integer, or maybe, hopefully you know what an integer is. It's an integer, it's a number. And then you give it the present value, and then you can give it an optional future value, right? So let's just say, for instance, you get a rate of 7%. And let's say you get a 30-year mortgage. I think number of periods is in years. And then the present value is just how much did you pay, right? So I don't know what a good or what a reasonable price for a home is. So I'm gonna just put 500K. I think that's reasonable. Don't judge me if it's not. And I think that's 500K. Maybe that's 5 million. Okay. So what you'll see here is that this shows you how much you're gonna pay in a year. So this is annual, right? And then maybe we'll say, what do we want to call this? Loan amount, maybe? I'm doing this backwards as fuck, but maybe you can, maybe it's helpful. So we'll also say mortgage, we'll say term. How about that? And then here we'll say rate. So we're going to basically break this into all these different pieces. I'm decomposing this is what we're doing here. So we'll do 7%. We'll say a term of 30, and let's say we do $500,000, and let's make this into money. All right. So what I'm going to do is just basically like redo this formula just a little bit. This 30 is going to be here, and this is going to be that. All right, so we get the same thing. So this is the annual payment. And we can figure out how much interest is from here if we really wanted to, but it's not that important, I don't think, right now, because I've already demonstrated that most of it is interest in the beginning of the loan. Now, when you get to year 15, year 17, year 20, then you're starting to tackle that principal. And if you look at a graph of that, it actually looks quite interesting. But anyway, let's look at your monthly payment. Monthly payment will be this divided by 12 because we have 12 months. So you're paying $33.57 a month if you get a 7% rate, right? So let's say that we go back in time 2 years ago when interest rates were 2.9%. Well, let's see what our payment will look like. I'm going to do this because I want to compare, right? So we'll just move that here. And now this one, let's make sure that this is using the right number. Yep, all right, perfect. So this one, I'm gonna do a 2.9% rate. See the difference here? right? So let's calculate this difference. So we'll just say difference. So oops, we'll say diff here, and let's say that this is going to be equal to that minus this. I don't know why they rounded. Let's get that back to 2.9%. And I also want this to be, yeah, there we are. All right, there's not going to be a difference here, but I'm still gonna do this. So just no, there's no difference here, but I'm still gonna do it just so that we're clear. So we're gonna be this minus that, and then we're gonna do this equal to this minus this. But we actually want because this is an increase or this is actually a decrease in money. What I would prefer to do is to invert this. So we'll say that we'll take the absolute value. So we'll do ABS of that. Wait, why did that do that? All right, so we'll take the absolute value of that, and then we'll do the same thing here. So we'll just say it's equal to this minus this, except we actually want the absolute value of that too. So we'll say ABS. All right, so you see here that the difference between paying a 2.9% interest rate and a 7% interest rate is $1,259 a month. On an annualized basis, that's $15,000, right? Just on this interest rate here. So I think this is if you're able to get a 7%. I don't even know if that's possible. Like I have very good credit, and like some of the rates that I've been seeing are not bad. So let's be more realistic. Let's say you get an 8% rate. See here that now your annual payment is $44,000 a year, right? It's a lot. This doesn't account for other things like your property taxes, also your insurance. Also, because I'm assuming that this is with no down payment. Obviously, if we put a down payment, this would change. You need to put 20% down to avoid this other thing, which is your private mortgage insurance, which is known as PMI. Right. And then there's also HOA fees if you decide to live in one of those new neighborhoods. There's also homeowners insurance, which they probably won't pay for shit if anything goes wrong. So we'll say homeowners insurance. Then there's also the cost of shit happening, right? Like, well, let's just call it maintenance. I don't know. Maybe you can take that as a percent of the value of your home every year, maybe. So let's say you just say, all right, I'm going to budget 1%, which I think is too low. Let's say you budget 2% for maintenance or whatever. I think that's how you spell maintenance. I don't know. Is it with an E? I think maintenance. I think this. I don't know how you spell maintenance. But yeah, like let's say you take 2% of your home's value every year, right? So that'll be equal to 2% times this right here, which is 10,000, right? So like you budget that every year. So you divide that, that's like $833 or something like that. Actually, I don't know what that is. Let's see what this is divided by 12. Oh, it is 833. All right, perfect. So yeah, I would put down on down payment. I'll just leave it at that. I would put down on down payment if I can, or just rent. That's what I rent, and I'm happy to pay someone else rent to live here, and then other people can pay me rent for the things that I own. That's how I prefer things. I forget who said it, but they're like, rent where you live, or something like. And it's like rent the places that you own, but then lease the place that you live, or something like that. Well, I don't think that should be your conclusion, right? No, I mean, what we've just seen is that there are multiple inputs to this. So sure, houses are expensive, and yes, the rates are expensive, but I don't know why we've gotten into this mindset that we have to purchase a house using a mortgage. I mean, sure, you should do it. It's because you can allocate that money to other things, assuming you can. The interest rate market, the interest rates are lower than they are, but like, put as much down as possible, and you should use a mortgage as a way to like not to live above your means, but to kind of like make sure you have cash on the side. So like if you have $500,000 in a bank account, well, maybe if you want a house, I'm not saying you do, but if you want a house and you must have a house, maybe look at a house that's, half of what you have in your bank account, right? And then you put down half of that. So if it's $250, you put down $125, and you get a mortgage for $125,000. Sure, your interest rate is 7%, but you have, $375,000 still left in your bank account that can protect you from other things. And now you have your house, you're paying your mortgage and all that other kind of crap. And then you can start focusing on, how do I increase my income, right? Or the other side of that is, how do I reduce my expenses? You can also do that. All right, what is this ffmpeg-I? We got to figure out what this is. I think I have ffmpeg docs in here. Yep, I do. So we have ffmpeg, and we want to do the -I option. Oh, here we are. -I. In URL. My God. Okay, sure. That's a weird name or flag for something for URL, but I guess input. I for input. Okay, fine. I will stop complaining. So we have whatever that is, and then we do %%A. Okay, what does that %%A do? Okay, so the file name to use for the report, %P is expanded to the name of the program, %T is expanded to a timestamp, %% is the expanded to a plain %. Okay, sure. I think we're going to use ChatGPT to figure this out. So we can do this. And where is it at? For %A in... Oh, okay. All right, never mind. So we're passing this to this thing. All right, I see what's happening here. So then I'm gonna just take this whole program, I think, and we'll go into ChatGPT. There should be a way to describe the code. Plugins. Let me put this on, I can read it. What's a good program to start learning how to code? Help me understand what you mean by a good programming language, or is that what you mean, or do you mean like a course, or do you mean what do you call it? Here, how about this? I'll just do this. So there is it Odin? Oh, language. Okay. The language that I recommend for people to start out with, yeah, Python's a language too. I recommend JavaScript, and here's why. All right, so I'm gonna show you something. In fact, you can follow along now if you're in Chrome or in Firefox. I can just do this and open up my whatever this is. But what you can maybe do is go to a website, right click, and then go to inspect. If you click on inspect, let's see what it'll take you to here. You'll see a bunch of elements, and maybe you'll see a console here. All right. So what I want you to do is click on console, and let's say you want to get the date. So let's say date.now, for instance. This is a function call, and you get back a value. I'll make this a little bit bigger. So what we've just done is we've just ran JavaScript, and we didn't have to install anything. All right, so this is why I would recommend JavaScript, just because you can do it on any computer and you don't have to install it because it's already installed in your browser, right? Whereas with a language like Python, sure, it's a cool language. I'm not a fan, but it has nothing to do with reasons that you may think. But let's say for instance Python, you have to first install it on your system, and then you have to maybe I don't know, maybe you have to set up your system and maybe it doesn't get installed properly. So I think that's just a barrier to entry. And I believe whenever you're learning something, you should remove as many barriers as possible. Remove as much friction as possible if you want to ensure the highest likelihood of success. All right, so let's say, for instance, here, like we can do a little bit of something. So let's say we decide to, I don't know, create a variable. I don't know my name. Let's say my name, and we'll say that's Will or something like that, William. All right, so now I can do something like alert, and then pass in my name. And here we now, so this alert is actually a, I think it's part of the DOM, like the browser's API. And you see here, it pops up an alert with my name, right? I can also do something called the prompt. So I can say const, let's say greeting is equal to prompt to that thing right there, my name. All right, so now I can do this and say, all right, we'll say Neha. All right, so we'll do Neha. And what we'll get back is if I go into greeting, oops. All right, oops, wrong thing. Let me actually. So you see here that it says the thing that I just typed in. So already, you're able to run JavaScript. And not only that, we were able to, do something in the browser using JavaScript. And we were also able to get user input from a user in the browser using JavaScript, and I didn't have to install anything. All right. So, maybe you could, I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do with just the browser here. And some of the other cool things is if you look at the window object, you'll see here that it's showing you all of these things that's on it. So let's just do window so I can expand this out. So you get to see all of the things, and the browser has it makes it easy, I think, to understand all of the different functions and properties and all these other things that you have access to. So yeah, I would say go with JavaScript to start with. And then there's also a very, very strong community behind JavaScript. The ecosystem is incredibly mature, although it does change a lot. It's one thing that I would say is it does change a lot. Maybe it changes too much. But yeah, hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. Let's see if ChatGPT is actually going to understand that I don't care about anything else but this okay. I got some coding experience, just trying to get back into it. Yeah, well, if you already have programming experience, then I would maybe use a language that, I don't know, like when you say coding experience, help me understand what that means, right? Like, is it like something like C++, or Rust, or Go, C#, Pascal, PHP? Like what do you mean? Because there are different types of programming languages, right? Like maybe what you were doing, and I don't know what you were doing, right? But there's different paradigms of programming. There's object-oriented programming. There's functional programming, which I'm a strong proponent of, although I kind of mix. I kind of fall into O sometimes. There's structural programming. And then there's also something else that I haven't used in a while, procedural. So I learned procedural when I was growing up. And then I went into object-oriented I was forced to. I didn't like it. And then in college, I was doing more FP, and I kind of kept doing FP, and also in object-oriented because of the jobs that I've had. So I'm asking because depending on the type of experience you've had, I would recommend that you use another language that has another paradigm. A language that I like a lot is Julia. Here, I'll show you this. So if you know what Python is, you'll understand Julia-ish, right? So think of Julia as a compiled Python. It's incredibly fast and performant. It uses LLVM or is it LLVM? Yeah, LLVM for the compilation, which is the same thing that a lot of other languages use. It's an open source backend compiler tool, and they have a lot of libraries that support what you're seeing here: visualization, machine learning. I used it for machine learning, just full disclosure. Data science as well, and of course you could do general purpose things, like anything. But let me show you an example of a program here. So we'll go into documentation, and actually let's go into learn. I think that'll be better. Okay, and I think they have notebooks too, which is pretty cool. In fact, this is probably gonna blow your mind. If you're a tech person, if you're a tech nerd, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Jupyter. I'm sure you've heard of Jupyter notebooks. Jupyter stands for Julia, Python, and TR, I don't know what the fuck it is, and then R. I think it's like R. Right? So like Jupyter is literally, it stands for Julia. It has Julia in the name. So yeah. Anyway, let's come into here and we'll do introduction for programmers. Let's see what this has to say. Oh, this is a course? No, we're not doing a course. What do they think I'm about to do? Oh, okay, I see. No, I just want to look at the manual. I'm not looking at a course. Yeah, so let's look at these functions, and here you'll see that what's really amazing about Julia, and I love this, is that you can use Unicode names. So let's say, for instance, I think this is epsilon, the sum. You can actually create a function, and it looks like math. And if you've ever had to read, these papers, these machine learning papers, let me show an example. What's a good one? Let's see, Google Academics. I forget, is it Scholars? Is it Google Scholar? Yeah, I think that's it. All right, so we'll look at GNs versus, actually, convolutional. Yeah, we'll look at convolutional neural network, so CNNs. Yeah. This one. All right, let's see if we can look at the paper without actually buying it. Nope. Normally I go to like Carnell. Let's see if we can get Carnell. So we don't really care what paper. I just want to show that they're kind of similar. Okay, this isn't the Carnell thing. How about I just not do that, and then we'll say Carnell papers CNN. Sure, whatever, we'll use this. This looks like a presentation though, so it's not really going to get into the meat of it, but maybe they'll get into the yeah. So here, this is where this comes in handy, right? So when you're reading a lot of this kind of stuff, the notation is math, right? Like, so it makes a lot of sense that you want your programming language to look like the math that you're implementing. And with Julia, you can do that, and it's pretty phenomenal. I love it, actually. So that's what they're doing here, right? So they define this function, and it's going to give the sum, because this is what this particular symbol means in general. So now you can do things like sum, and it looks like your math, which I think is awesome. Some of the other things that are pretty cool about Julia that I love about it over Python is that it's strongly typed, which is incredibly important to me, because like that's how I know what I'm doing. Is I think about the data that I'm working with, and I don't understand how you can remove the data that you're working with in a programming language. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But not only is it strongly typed, it uses type inference. So you don't have to specify your type up front. It can infer it based off of the right-hand side of the operator. Or if you're using an expression where, because you're calling these functions, the functions themselves have types, right? So because of that, you're able to continue to infer types without having to like define them all the time. And they also have like a lot of the things that Python has, like list comprehensions, but they have things that Python really doesn't have or doesn't do well. And like metaprogramming is one, or parallelism. I think Python is single threaded, and I think there's some type of like global like lock or something. I don't know Python that well. Like, just keep that in mind. I don't know Python that well. I know enough Python to be dangerous and to like talk a little bit about it, to get a little bit of things done. But when it comes to the deep internals of Python, I can't claim to be an expert. I also can't claim to be an expert on Julia, like real talk. But I'm very, very, very familiar with Julia, at the least. Yeah. So I don't know, for anyone who's interested, I don't know. There's CNN's convolutional neural networks using convolution. Convolution is actually something that's oh, you never met a Dev who knew Julia? Wait, do you know Julia? Like, if so, then like now there are two of us that know Julia. I know a lot of languages though. Like I can't say that I'm like the average engineer, right? Like I know over 30 languages. So, because I've worked across everything. I started off as a consultant, so it means that I had to use whatever language was there, right? You want to get back into learning, see? Oh, wait a minute. Let me put this up. Switch over to my YouTube account so I can start coding. Ah, okay. All right. Okay. Wait, so how do you know about Julia? Wait, how do you know about Julia? Explain this to me. You want to get back into learning C. Why do you want to learn C? I don't recommend learning C. Well, I don't know. I take that back. Not really. I'm not going to die on that hill, but I don't recommend learning C. It's a strong take. I can't give you many reasons other than, yeah, it's not as bad as C++ though. Like, I think that's where I have a harder stance. It's like, I wouldn't learn C++ if I don't have to. What I would instead recommend is Rust. Have you heard of Rust? So let's see, Rust Lang, and also Go is pretty cool. So this is what I would consider like the spiritual successor to C++. Or maybe Zig is. This is another language that I would recommend, Ziglang. So the cool thing about Zig is that it's incredibly simple. And I think that's important, right? When it comes to programming languages, you don't want something that's just like, what is this? AKA Objective-C. Although Objective-C is not that bad when you think about it. But like, Zig is actually pretty cool, actually. It's really easy to comprehend, right? So let's just look at this. I imagine like even the people who aren't programmers here, I think you'll be able to understand this. So here, we're importing some other code, right? And the way we import other code is that we have this at import. But it's cool is that we just assign. There's no special syntax for imports like we have for Python or JavaScript, where it's, here, let me show how imports are working. Well, and here it's include, but like it's a completely different syntax. But then you see these other things like this pound if defined here, which is, or this pound pragma or pound in it. Like you have all these uses of pound, but they're used differently. Whereas here it's pretty consistent, where it's like we assign a thing to a thing. So in this case, we're assigning this whole package to this variable name. And here we're able to go into our standard thing, and it has like properties where we can access. So like we say parse int, and we assign parse int to here. In JavaScript, the way that we would do that is like so. If we're going to pretend that we're going to do some JavaScript, we would do something like this. We would have to do this, and then what were we doing here? Parse int. So yeah, we'll do parse int. We'll do something like this from the thing, and that's assuming that it's exported in that way. Maybe we would have to do it like this. So we say std from std from the thing, and then then we would be able to do like std.parse in or whatever, right? I think that is much simpler to just have like assignment, which is what Zig has. Then they have this testing right here. So I'm not sure if this is a function. I think this is a function though. And we can define some constant values, and we have a different thing for variables. So now this tells us that we can change things if we want. You see here that we're initializing something with, and it's just calling a function on the thing that we want to initialize. We have this defer, which is actually, I think this is a key word, saying that we want to do this something after the fact. While loops, I think this is really, really nice. So we have this iterator here, and then we get this num here. So just keep in mind, like this is something that you can go and look at and learn in probably a day or two. Let's be real, maybe 2 days, a weekend. So yeah, I say give Zig a look, I guess, if you're into like low level programming. What do you recommend for someone who doesn't want to stay in web dev? Any language really. So full disclosure, I've never been in web dev. like I know all of these languages. You don't have to, the language that you do has nothing to do with what you're going to do. So like you can do JavaScript and not be a web developer. You can do Go and be a web developer. You can also do Rust and be a web developer. I would say that it doesn't matter what language. It's more about what are you doing? Like, are you building things that aren't web apps, right? Like you don't have to do that in a job. You can do that on your own. So you can build desktop applications. That's one option. But my question to you is, why do you want to build software that people don't use? Like, let's be real, like most people on Earth, the way they interact with software is through a browser. I have a hot take on that. Like I don't like web apps in general, but I have to be honest that most people, they're going to interact with your software via a website because that is the best distribution mechanism that we have to date. There isn't anything better. For one, we don't have to care about the user's underlying platform, their operating system. It's a common operating system. It's an abstraction built on top of every other person's or every machine's operating system that, developers, there's finite of us. If we're going to target a platform, we should be wanting to target the platform that has the most potential to be used. And fortunately or unfortunately, that's the web. So I'm curious, like why are you trying to, and I'm not saying that you have to say it, but I'm just curious, like, why are you trying to move away from it? And I'm gonna put this up just for people who are wondering on Twitch, like, what is he talking about? And you heard of Rust. Installing Go was a pain. Installing Go should have been easy. It's literally, you just install, like, it's not even an installation really. All you do is you download a thing and then you have it. That's it. It's not really an install. At least in my experience, that's what it was. It's just a directory on my drive, and I can create a like, what do you call that? I forget words, and you'll learn this about me over time. I have so many things going on. Gosh, what do you call the thing that you would you put it in your path? I'm sorry, yeah. You just put it in your path, and your computer will search it for you if you type Go, and it'll do the things. Windows. Okay. Well, I can't speak for Windows. I don't know if you've noticed, I'm not really a Windows person, and I'm not a new switcher either. Like, I learned how to use a computer on an Apple Macintosh. I think it was the Mac. Gosh, what was it? It was one of those original ones. It wasn't the first one. I think it was the Apple. It wasn't the Apple II, or was it the Apple II? Let's see. I remember it when I see it. No, it wasn't this one that I learned on. It was the one after this, I think. So let's see. Was it the Apple? Was there Apple III? Oh no, I think it may have been that first Apple Macintosh. Yes. So this is the computer that I learned on, that I first started using computers on. So I have been a Mac user for my life. So I've used Windows for work, but typically it was in a VM within Mac. Or if I had to use it, it was just like on the work laptop that I didn't really use, and I only knew how to do the things that I needed to do. So yeah, I'm a long time Mac user. So yeah, I can't relate to the pain of installing Go or anything on Windows. One thing I will say about Windows is that it is faster. I will give them that. So I noticed that like when I used to use Visual Studio there, it was instant. I don't know if it still is, but when I used to open, it would be like just instant open. And then on Mac, it's like, oh yeah, let's wait a few minutes for things to open. All right. But yeah, take a look at these languages. So the ones that I talked about were Rust, Zig. You said that you've heard of Go. Julia, which you seem to have heard of, which is actually interesting. Yeah, I would say those. If you're wanting to get into mobile, learn Swift. Swift is actually, the language isn't bad, but I hate the tooling around the language, to be honest. I don't like Xcode. Objective-C is also worth learning, I guess, because there's still a large body of work that's in Objective-C. C# is actually my favorite language. You wouldn't believe it, but C# is my favorite language. I think C# is an excellent way to like learn a language that will translate into different fields of development, right? You could use C# to do web development, to do services like API, like web APIs, as well as other types of services like SOAP, that kind of thing. You can use it for desktop applications. You can use it to extend things like Excel or Word or all of the Office suite. You can also use it in, well, technically you don't use it in databases, but like actually SQL Server might have a way to run C# now. I really don't know. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. What else can you do with C#? I'm pretty sure that they have libraries for doing, scientific computing and all these other things. You have to go and look though. I actually don't know. I haven't used C# in a meaningful way in a few years, but I did use it for a good 7 or 8 years. And some would call me an expert, or maybe I used to be an expert, maybe not anymore. I'm very proficient in C# now, but at one point I was an expert in C#. And I mean that literally, not just, what people say, oh, I'm an expert or something. I mean that my version of expert, which, maybe is a little bit more thorough than most people's definition of the word. All right, what is this? Rust compiler. Okay, we don't care about the Rust compiler. This is what we care about. We care about what ChatGPT has to tell me about this script here. Let's see, uses, okay, I get that. Saves, okay. I'm curious, how does it know? Like, how does ffmpeg know that I want this to be okay, you know what? I'm gonna just try it. We're gonna do that. When in doubt, you just try and see what happens. So we're gonna do ffmpeg and -I. We're gonna give it a URL. So open AI, whisper CP samples. I'm gonna give it my JFK wave. Oh wait, no, okay, never mind. I need this to be in my volumes because I want to see if it's going to change the type. I forgot. So we're gonna go into volumes, whatever that is, ecam, that, and then that. Okay, and then what else do we do? Then take each, okay. Let's say convert this, pull the ffmpeg command from the loop. I want to use it by itself as a single command. So this is the thing that I don't understand. Like, is it like, okay, fine, let's just try it. I don't think this is gonna work. And I'm gonna copy this whole thing. I don't actually want to run this here. Recording live. Yeah, I don't want to run this here. So we'll go to my desktop and run it there. Okay. Did that work? If it did, that was fast. That was too fast for it to have worked. Stream output. Output MP3. Minor version. Nope. Oh, did that work? Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust that. Unless this file right here, you know what? I need to do a little, I need to be better. Let's come here and we're just gonna make a ffmpeg mpeg testing directory. I don't think y'all can see my desktop, so you're probably not seeing that, but now you can see the folder. All right, so I'm going to look for a, I wonder if this is one that I did. That may be why it's empty as fuck. Yeah, let's look for something that's not empty as fuck. 279, we're gonna do this one. So we're gonna copy this to here. Okay. I'm gonna delete that output, get rid of that. We're gonna run this again, kind of, a little bit. So this time what I'm gonna do is jump into my ffmpeg folder and we're gonna run this command again, except this time, maybe I should rename this file. I'm gonna rename this file. So let's see what it's called, main mic. So we're gonna rename this to what's a good name? Source.m4a. Okay. So we'll do ffmpeg-i source m4a, and I'm gonna call this output.mp3. Oh wow, so it does just work. So it just, I guess I will figure out what I want to do based off of the extensions. And I see here that it's using a variable bit rate. So now the next question is, how do I change that? I don't want it to be variable. But this is good to know. So let's see how small I'm able to make this file after the fact. There's 64 megabytes so far. Doing on processing. Oh, it's only using one CPU. Interesting. Okay. Sure. It's taking a long time. It's taking longer than I would have expected. But I guess if it's only using one CPU, so the other question is, all right, okay, it finished. Okay. Oh, excuse me. 108 megabytes. So we got a, excuse me. We got a compression ratio. All right, let's see what that is, Alex. 266. All right, of 2.4. Okay. Or we can get a percentage if that makes more sense to some people. Maybe it does. We do 266. So we get a 40% reduction in file size. No, that's a 60% reduction. I'm sorry, a 60% reduction in file size, because it's 1 minus that. Okay, so then that's decent. So now the question is, does sock, whatever this thing is, does it work with that? Right, so we're gonna do sock i-p output. Ah, look at that. Okay, so whatever this is, it works with MP3. That's good. That's good to know. move this to here. Desktop, ffmpeg. So we'll do socks, whatever that is, and I misspelled the hell out of that. So we should be able to get the sample rate. Let's see, soxy dash r. I'm tripping. 48. Why can't I get both? Okay, it looks like I can only get one at a time. That's interesting. Oh, it literally says, okay, it says it here. I can only do one at a time. Okay. What does dash V do? Increment or set reversity level. All right. Okay, so at 48, so one of the things that I'm going to want to do is use ffmpeg to reduce the sample rate, and that's where this resample here comes in, right? So I'm going to manually input these values, but eventually I'm going to use this program here, Soxy, to give me that. So I can run this, like I can evaluate this expression to give me the sample rate right there, the in sample rate, and then the out sample rate is going to be what I want, which is going to be 16,000. And then specify the input sample rate is set to, wait, in sample, oh, in sample format. Okay, the sample format, okay. Default is none, okay. Sample is none, interval, okay. So we should be able to use this to resample, and let's see if ChatGPT can do that. I need to resample an MP3 file from 48 kilohertz to 16 kilohertz. How do I use ffmpeg resampler to accomplish this? And after, if it's able to do this, then we're gonna add to it. I'm gonna want to remove frequencies, right? So at 16 kilohertz, right? This is getting into Nyquist theorem. The highest frequency that I'll be able to represent is 8,000 kilohertz ish around, which my voice is mostly. I actually don't know where my voice is. I'll have to look at an EQ, and I'm not gonna do that yet. I can do that in a bit. What's up, Seaside Roland? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Just talking a little bit about how I'm gonna accomplish this transformation I need, right? I have this audio that's M4A. I was just able to use ffmpeg to convert it to MP3. Oh, wait a minute. There's one thing that I also want to try. I want to see if I can convert it to wave. So this is where it's going to get into, is it taking into account is it taking into account this extension right here? So if I put wave, will it actually create a wave file? All right, so it says PCM. What did it say last time? PCM stands for pulse code modulation, just FYI to anyone who's like, what is that? What was it last time? MP3. Okay, audio MP3. This says audio PCM. Oh, so wow. Oh, that's actually really cool. So it does know. Let's open this up. Check it out. Wave 1.3. Okay, it's much larger. That's wave-like. Let's confirm that this is in fact a wave. Let's go into my hex editor and I'll open this up. My desktop. This wave. Yeah, it has the header here, so we're good. So I keep saying this word header, so maybe this is a little bit of depth, or not really a deep dive into file formats, but like, what is a file? Because a lot of people, they say files but not really understanding what they are. Files are literally like, just think of it as like a contiguous block of values, right? The file is the abstraction that we use, but like in reality, a file is the state that was in memory, right? So it's like in memory, you have like a bunch of different cells that you could put data bits in, on or off, and you group enough of them together and you get some like something like a byte. And if you group enough of those together, 2 bytes, you get like hex and all this kind of stuff. So that's what this is here. So you see here that it's like out of however many bytes. So each one of these represents, I think 2 bytes. Yeah, I think it represents 2 bytes of data. And we store this in something called a file on our file system in our hard drive, essentially. Now, how does the computer know like what's a file? Like what type of file it is? You may think that it's the extension. I have news for you, it is not. The extension is irrelevant. You could put .take a shit at the end of a file and it will still play as audio if the computer reads it, because it's going to look at this header here. All right, so you see here this 524 whatever this is. Notice that this has the same thing, right? So that says RIFF, that's what that stands for here. And then there's different types of WAV formats. So that's why this little part of it is different. In fact, let's see if we can have ChatGPT explain the WAV file format. Explain the WAV file format. I'm interested only in how these files are represented on the computer. Share insights about header or file header information, file header info. Okay, let's see, put this on here. Interesting project. I'm glad the algorithm recommended your stream. I'm glad it did too. I have a lot of these actually, and to be honest, this particular stream or this set of streams so far that I'm doing, I'm building something called, like, I call it a YouTube Slack bot. And the goal is to automate a lot of what I do in these streams, like the video description, the video title, posting show notes, like all this stuff. I want to just be able to press stream and then talk a bunch of shit, have my notes, which you saw that I haven't really been using them right now, but like I have these notes typically where like I'll have like what I've done. And you'll see that I'm kind of inconsistent, and that's because I have to do it myself, right? Anything that I have to do myself, it will be inconsistent. So I want my chatbot to do it. So I've already integrated it inside of my Slack. Let me go to my, where is it? Slack bot, Slack dev testing. So I have a Slack bot here, and it's honestly, it's communicating with my service right now. But I hit a snag 2 streams ago, where I discovered that my note-taking tool of choice, Craft, which is this thing right here, does not have an API. So this has led me down this whole rabbit hole, and I was just like, you know what? I will decide on whether or not I'm going to switch to Notion, which I don't know if I want to, but maybe I will. Or if I'm just going to use a raw file, like, and just use Git, which, you know, is also an option. So instead of actually solving that problem, I decided to just jump ahead and do something else. So I was like, all right, one of the other things that I would like to do is produce transcripts of my streams, so I can use those transcripts to inform the video description. And I want to show what one of those looks like. Maybe I should have put that in my notes last time and I didn't. Let me put this here. So we'll say video description from a stream. All right, so what I'm about to share is generated, and I may use Llama to do that in the future, because I can do all this locally. But let me find in my thing here. Let me move this away so that it's not, because this is no conversation that I have with other folks. All right, so we'll put this here. Oops, no, we'll put this as markdown. There we are. So let's see how this is, see what this is. Sorry, if we come to here and we look at Sublime, you'll see here that this is the transcript along with the timestamps ish of when I said it for a video. And this is just raw text, right? Eventually I want to be able to create subtitles based off of this. So I'm going to need to figure out a way to generate something called an SRT file, which is what I can then upload to YouTube to say, here's my subtitles. And because like I can barely speak more than one language, I'll just say that I can speak a couple languages. So as a result, I also want to get these transcribed into the other language, my target language, without me having to do it myself. And maybe I should do it myself, but I don't speak in correct English to begin with. So like trying to convert that to Chinese would be difficult. Where it's just like, all right, this isn't even an English sentence. Now I had to first make it into a proper English sentence, and then I can translate it to Chinese. I don't want to do that. That's too much effort, and I know I won't do it. So I would prefer to like first, get these transcriptions done, and then I can then feed that into another model that can generate the characters for, or maybe it'll generate the pinyin. Pinyin may be better because I can't read all characters. I think I can only recognize maybe 300 or 400 characters, which is not enough given that I talk about all kinds of different things. So maybe I would do pinyin and characters. Maybe I could do both. I don't know. Yeah, all that being said, I want to be able to offer subtitles in both English, Chinese, well, technically 3 languages, English, Chinese, and French. And yeah, French for a reason, because I can speak a little bit of that too. So all the languages that I'm very familiar with, I want there. And maybe Spanish, even though I don't speak Spanish, I'm familiar with it. I'm based in Houston, Texas. It's the language, right? I feel at home when I hear it. In fact, funny story. The first time I went to Africa in my life, I think I was 23, 24, 23, one of those. And I went to a country. By the way, I was forced to go. I didn't actually want to go. Interesting backstory behind that. But anyway, I was the one at the company that was voluntold that I'm going to go to Africa, and I was told that I should want to go to Africa because I don't know why. So yeah, I got sent to a country called Equatorial Guinea. I'll pull it up on a map for those of us who are geographically challenged. So if we come out, you see here I'm in Houston, and we're going to go over to Equatorial Guinea. All right. So I went out to Equatorial Guinea. I was in Malabo. And then I also went out to Bata. This is where I ended up going. So first went to Cameroon for a little bit, and then went to Malabo, and then went to Bata. And then I went back to Malabo. And man, Malabo is fucking, like, the country's poor as fuck, but like, oh my gosh, I've never saw so many rich people in my life. Like, just what the fuck, in Africa of all places. So yeah, anyway, I ended up going to Equatorial Guinea. And the thing that made it feel not as foreign as it could have felt is the fact that they speak Spanish. So like just by virtue of them speaking Spanish, like it helped me out immensely. I don't know how to explain it, but just like having some sense of familiarity with a language when you go to a very foreign place, and like let's be real, like you won't really see pictures of places in Equatorial Guinea because it's illegal. I'm not going to show them but like it's a very different place. And yeah, let's just say I learned that even though I thought I was poor, I'm not poor. None of us are poor here in America. So yeah, that was my first time going somewhere, and it's the language of Spanish, even though I don't speak it. Like just by virtue of them all speaking Spanish, I was like, okay, well, it's not too foreign to me. I can piece together some Spanish, even though I'm not that great at it. All right, so let's see. I got a question from Casual Economist. What's your lo-fi music from? I need more playlists for all the studying I'm about to do. Artlist. So you got to pay for it. So here, I'll show it to you. And that's another thing that this bot is going to eventually do is, while it's the reason why I don't put links to the music is because I don't know what music plays. It's shuffled. And it would still be difficult because I would want to put the timestamps. So my bot, if I'm able to figure out how to do this part, is every time, the song changes, write something to a file, right? And then what I can then do is just, they're already in order. I just put I put the names as well as the attribution to where I got it from, and people can go in and find it that way. But yeah, it's Artlist, and the other one is what is it called? Chill Hop? I think Chill Hop. Just Google Chill Hop, I think. So Artlist is the main one though. So here, I'll show you Artlist. So you come here and like you have music. And if you really want to use this for your stuff, I can give you a referral code if you really want it. I don't know what this costs though. I don't know things like this. Okay, it's 200 a year. So yeah, there you are, 200 a year. I guess I just learned how much I'm paying for this. That was a mistake. All right, anyway, let's look at this WAV audio file format. So it gives an overview of the WAV file header. That's that thing that we were looking at, the RIF chunk descriptor, which is, it says 12 bytes. Okay, so RIF is 4 bytes, ASCII identifier for the file. The chunk size is in 4 bytes, file size minus 8 bytes. And then WAV is, okay, so check this out. If we look at this here, we get that, right? We have the RIF and then the WAV. This says WAV FMT, and this one has a $sign after, but I don't know if it really matters here. So it's saying that these right here, well, actually it said it's 12 bits. So I think it would be this right here, these. Yeah. So this is the RIF thing here. All right. And then, all right. Oh, it says 4 bytes. Okay. And then we have the FMT sub chunk, 24 bytes, FMT. And all right. So you'll see here, we have FMT. We already skipped the WAV because that was already there. Now, I don't know what Q wave is. Now that I think about it. So this wave right here, that should only be 4 bytes, but we have a Q wave, and I'm not really sure what that is. All right, and then after that, we have another 4 bytes of data that tells us the rest of the hunk, so we don't care about that. And then we have 2 bytes of data, that's the PCM. And then it says PCM equals 1, others indicate compression. So this is where we can determine whether or not there's any compression happening here, right? So it's kind of cool that, like, you know, you can use ChatGPT to figure out file header information, and then you can then take that new knowledge and apply it to, you know, here to make sure that you actually do indeed have a WAV file. So I do have a WAV file, and it's quite large at the moment, but let's see if we can split it up now. I have a script that does that, actually, that I wrote yesterday. Here's that script. We're gonna split big file. Let's open this with Sublime just so we can remind ourselves what that script looks like. Okay, maybe we won't open it with Sublime because I don't know how to zoom in, so we'll do it here. Go away. All right, so we'll zoom in here. Why does it keep trying to give me a save? All right, so you'll see here that I hard-coded the file name. We're gonna have to change that. And then I have these prefixes that I want to happen. And then the duration of each split. I think I have 1080, which is 36.5. Wait, is this in seconds? Yeah, this is in seconds. What is this? 36. Is this 5 minutes? Let's see, 5 minutes. To seconds. Okay, so 5 minutes is 300 seconds. Why did I make this 30 minutes? I think, well, is that, wait, 300 to here, 300. Yeah, I think that's too long, I think. Maybe these should only be 5 minutes a piece. I'm starting to remember why I made it long is because my files are very, very long. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'll get into that later. The important bit is that I'm using that SOXY thing to get the length of the file, which is basically the size of, or the number of samples in the file. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not the number of samples. It's the number of samples, but we then convert that into time. So it would be the seconds. We also, I'm also going to need to get the sample rate. So we'll say, sample rate is equal to, I forgot we were in bash, so I can't use spaces here, so we'll do SOXY, and then that'll be dash, what was it? I forgot. This is where we'll use my tool to see what I've been doing. Is it P? Or is it R? I think R is it. Yeah, it's R. So yeah, this is gonna give us our sample rate. And then we could just throw in our input file here. So we'll just take this. And I won't need to run this through awk because this will always be a integer. All right, so we're going to fix that. So now we have a actual command, and then I'm going to get our bit rate. So bit precision, we'll call it bit depth. That's a better name. And it'll be Soxy again. And then I think that was -p. Yeah, -p, I think, of our input file. Just do that. All right, and then I'm gonna echo all of these one at a time. All right, so we'll have our sample rate and our bit depth. By the way, this $sign is how you access a variable in Shell. That's why, you know, here I don't have a $sign, but here I have it. It's because that's how you actually get the value out of the thing. All right. So we initialize the start time, it'll always be 0. Counter for output files. Sure, I could, yeah, starting at 1 is fine, I suppose. All right, so this, all right, this is where things get a little bit. So the start time is going to be 0, and then less than total length. Now I think we're going to change the start time every single time. So we're going to get this duration. Here's the thing though, the duration may not be an integer value. So I need to figure out what's the shell, like what's the command that gives me the integer value of a thing. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to go into all of that. I've been trying to keep my streams to 2 hours these days just to help with retention a bit. Like I was saying last night, I think some of you were here from like the fact that I was on the lead attorney's stream last night. I was talking to him about engagement and like, how do I keep people engaged? Because what I'm doing is, at least in his words, is boring. Like it's not entertaining. So as a result, like my retention and all of that is kind of low. So I'm hacking it by doing shorter videos or shorter streams. So I may be back second half a day, and then I may get more into the building side of things. So this was mostly just, I guess, researching, I suppose. But maybe in the second half a day, I'll actually do a little bit of programming to move my thing forward, my project forward. And before I go, let me confirm that I don't have any open PRs. Oh, I do have an open PR, but I don't think this matters. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Yeah. So currently it's in production. At least part of it is in production, and I need to add a few more things here to our API. Yeah. So I need to add a few more things. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is generate this file, and I'm going to commit to deciding whether or not I'm going to use Notion to do that or not, or just use GitHub, which is honestly the easiest thing for me. Anyways, thank you all for the conversation. It makes this a lot easier. Like real talk, like it's kind of hard to just talk to nothing for 2 hours. So yeah, I also used to stream for that. Like I think my record is 9 hours, and it wasn't like I was thinking about it. Like I'm just working, right? So it was 9 hours, and I look back, I was like, oh my gosh, this is long. I have hardly no views on that. I don't even know if I have it on YouTube. I used to mostly be on Twitch, and I recently started doing YouTube this year for live streaming. So now I gotta check to see if like do I even have that stream? Oh wait, that's the wrong thing. What the hell? So we go to my channel. All right, so if you go to playlist, I have this Devlog playlist. I don't think y'all will see all of these, but like there's this Devlog playlist, and one of these might be really, really long, maybe. Okay, maybe I got better when I started doing YouTube. But like I've had my LinkedIn one cut off at 4 hours, because you can only, like, I didn't even know this until the time being, but you can stream for 4 hours on max. Why is there 2 of these here? What the hell? The fuck? I don't know what's going on there, but like one of those is 6.5 hours. Yeah, they're all over the place. But lately I've been trying to keep them to 2 hours, and I've been failing at that by a lot. So they're still in the 2 hour range. So I'm not gonna cut myself down. I'm doing better than I used to do. Of like, you know, these 5 hour ones and shit. Anyway, oh yeah, here's one for 7 hours. Yeah, I'm gonna try to not do that anymore. But yeah, like, man, I actually like his streams a lot. He has his few sound effects. I have too many. I think that could be the problem, right? Anyway, yeah, thank you all for joining today, and I'll be back a little bit later. It's around my lunchtime. I have lunch plans with one of my neighbors, so I do have to go ahead and peace out. But yeah, thank you for joining, and I hope to see y'all in the future. So peace.